We live?
We are live.
We are live.
Hello.
Oh man.
Hello.
If you guys could see the setup we have in here, maybe we'll take some photos for this. This is crazy. Well, welcome. Hey Lonnie.
Hey Jesse.
How's it going?
Good. How about you?
Pretty good. Well, I mean, we spent like all day together, so it's obviously good.
I know, it's so funny. Ever since like the beginning of 2020, it's just been like constant grind and hustle.
Yep. So it's been, I think June was our last podcast, and that was when Melinda was doing some meditations and stuff. So I guess we can unpack last year and move forward into this year a little bit, and maybe update everyone on what's been going on.
Mm-hmm. So let's see. I mean, where do we begin? 2020.
Yeah. I think we're gonna all be telling our 2020 stories for years to come.
I think so. So I know it began kind of crazy, but then it got crazier as all the lockdowns happened. We went completely online at the studio.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like we kept talking about wanting to do that,
Mm-hmm.
and we actually had to, like, somebody forced our hand. I'm gonna check audio really quick. Hold on. I'm just gonna start over. We're starting over.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. But
Behind the scenes of a podcast.
see, I'm like, what is going on? Do you hear anything?
Mm-mm. Like, is our voices supposed to be through this the whole time?
Not really. Like, it
Okay.
just, but the playback should. Oh, hold on, I'm on the wrong recording. Welcome to my life. I don't know the right one. How would the settings change, though?
Yeah. Because we had it figured out in the beginning, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
We hate
Speakerphone,
technology.
good. Recording.
We hate technology.
Let me see one more time. That's why. Apparently our thing went to sleep. I'm glad I checked it.
Does that happen?
I don't know.
Great.
This is our first time using certain technology. Isn't
Look
it
how
fun?
fancy. This is our new baby.
Okay, now it's looking good. Do a test really quick and then we'll listen.
Test, test, test.
Word to your mother.
Yeesh.
Sounds so good.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
that sounds good.
Hey, Lonnie.
Hi, Jesse.
How are you doing?
Good. How about you?
Good. Like we didn't just have this conversation. So we got this really cool setup for our podcast before COVID hit, and my friend John, who was on one of the podcasts from the band, The Brevet, he actually came up for your teacher training.
Yeah,
actually,
that was amazing.
and he helped me set it up, but that was last May, and we haven't set anything up since. So we had a couple little faulty things, but this is great. I love it. It sounds great. Yay, we're gonna get back.
Now.
Yeah, we're gonna get back into it. So, I guess a couple updates. Nikki hopefully will rejoin the podcast at some point. We'll see how that plays out. But she had a baby.
Babies.
Back in July.
Yes, I know that seems like so long ago, but also like last week at the same time.
Have you seen pictures of Harlow?
Mm-hmm.
So cute. I
Squeezy.
die.
Squeezy, squeezy.
I'm like, how did you get this perfect little model baby?
So cute.
I got to see her the other day too, and we got to catch up.
Aww.
So that was awesome.
Sad. I didn't get to see Nikki.
We'll see if we can get her back in the Pure Joy hole.
Nikki.
That's suction. Nikki, if you're listening, we love you. We miss you.
Come back.
Come on back. So with me today is Lonnie.
Hello.
But we are gonna start doing some more of these because even though we were both absent from the podcast platform, we do have a lot to share and say.
We do. I think that's one thing about 2020. It built up a lot of things that we want to say.
Yes. So Lonnie was on the podcast, God, was that like 2 years ago?
That was like 2018, maybe the beginning of 2019.
It was a while ago. One
It
of our
was.
first episodes.
Yes.
You can go back and listen to it if you'd like. But Lonnie is an herbalist, and so give a little insight into your background.
Yes, so I think it's when I did that podcast, I think I just opened Luna Lay Wellness, which is like my baby. And I was like fresh in the ocean at that point, like toes, and like, what am I doing? I don't know. And so since then, I've been just developing my studies. I began seeing clients. Jesse has been awesome in opening up the studio to let me see clients. And then I do moxibustion, which we'll go into some other time. You can check my Instagram for the info on that, and cupping, and just doing lots of studying. And then during the pandemic, it's kind of shaped me of what I want to see in the industry. So
For sure. And we'll talk a little bit about that too. So Luna Lay Wellness is housed at Pure Joy. So there's an office here for Luna Lay. And we also sell some of the Luna Lay product line, which includes one of my favorites, Immune Chi.
What?
Immune Chi. It helps boost your immunity, right?
Yeah.
I'm allowed to say that, right?
Yeah, and it's designed for healthy immunity. It's designed to be put into food. So it's a food product, you know. Going back in the old school days, long time ago, that's how people healed themselves, was with the most basic line of defense, which is food.
So I'm kind of like Immune Chi junkie. I told Lonnie, like, right after Christmas, I usually get like an upper respiratory issue around this time just because it's so cold and like, I don't know what it is, but I made some Immune Chi and I was feeling kind of sick. And I drink like 3 cups of it. It's a tea, but I put it in my broth. So I had like 3 cups of broth in that day, which I don't know if I was overdosing on it.
No,
I don't think you can.
Yeah, because a lot of it's food, and so it's so easy on the body.
But I had it, and the next day I woke up fine. I was just like, sweet.
I love that stuff. And you're not the only one who's talked about that. I've been very blessed to have a lot of people who messaged me and was like, hey, I felt like I was getting a sniffle or something else.
So mine always starts. I sneeze. Like, I can sneeze whenever and it's fine, but there's just this one instance where I sneeze and it feels like my whole nasal canal like opens up and has drip come through it.
It's coming.
And I'm like, oh, here we go.
Tissues.
So I was really happy that I had Immune Chi on hand and that I was able to just drink it up and, like I said, felt better the next day. I mean, but I also take it easy quite a bit when I'm not feeling well.
That's the best thing you can do too, is don't push the body, right? Like,
for sure.
Don't sweat it out. Jesse and I were talking about this the other day of people coming to do things and they sweat out their illness. Then their body ends up going, you're crazy pants.
But don't you feel like that was like one of the lessons from 2020? It was like, if you're sick, don't go anywhere, right? Like, that was drilled into our heads. I mean, we've heard it before. Like, that's my thing. Like, I've never wanted employees to come in if they're sick. Like, don't push it. Don't push it for yoga, you know? Yeah,
and then you're contagious anyway most of the time. So it's like, stay home, rest your body, eat the good food.
Yeah, down at one of the Folsom studios, people would be like, I'm going to sweat it out in this power yoga class in 95 degrees and just get it all out of me. And it's like, okay, but are you going to gift that to everybody else? Like, you know, you probably should just go snuggle up and drink some Immune Chi, but whatever. Who am I to judge?
Here's my nasty sweat.
I think that was a big lesson for me too. Like this last year is just like non-judging. Like don't judge anybody. You have no idea what other people think, their experiences that have shaped them, what they're coming into stuff with.
Definitely.
Like just always try and be compassionate and like, you know, allow other people to articulate things without having to like go on the defense with your own point of view.
Yeah, no, I agree. And people are walking in with a lot of stuff after 2020.
Dude, that was the craziest thing.
It was.
Somebody should be like, how many times do they say dude in this podcast?
How? I don't know. Do they take a shot? You can take a tea shot. You can take a Immune Chi shot.
Immune Chi shot.
Healthier practices for 2021.
We had a Christmas Eve sale here, and Lonnie brought in her Instapot and had Immune Chi for everyone. And
I was like, little did we know we healed the community that day.
I'm totally off track. Dude. Anyways, last year was pretty wild.
It was. And people are walking in with tons of stuff.
Oh, for sure.
You
So
know,
we
and-
closed down, like we've been open since May, so if you haven't come back to your mat, come back, we miss you, but we are sending you air hugs. Thank you for that.
You guys can't see me on the podcast, but watch the video.
Yeah, there's a video on YouTube. So we closed down before the mandatory close down.
Yes.
And then we reopened at one point in May. I don't remember the date.
Probably the beginning of May, I want to say.
Yeah, like either like right after the first week of May, I
Just
think.
under 2 months, I think, of being closed.
Man, it was a hustle. We did all we could when we were closed to film videos. We filmed videos. I think we have like over 30 classes of good filmed content on our virtual studio, and then we have some filmed live classes that we put up there too. So we created this big, huge library for our patrons that wanted to stay home and not come out into the community. What else did we do?
Let's see, I became a wife.
Oh
We're gonna
yeah!
say that.
Oh shoot! She's
You
married.
can't see my bling. But one thing 2020 brought was a good thing of everything. But yeah, I got married and Jessie did the wedding. So that was super fun.
I'm ordained.
She was our lovely minister for the wedding.
That
and
was
we had
like-
so much fun.
That was one of the coolest things I've done in my life. And
Oh.
like, I know I told you about it, but when I was up there and like going through the whole ceremony, at one point I'm like, am I really allowed to do this?
Are we doing something illegal?
So it was really cool to be on that side. It felt like, you know how sometimes like when you teach like a really good yoga class, there's like it feels a little powerful, like in a weird way.
All that energy and you just feeling
And
it.
it's like, but it's not about you. It's
No.
not like a powerful within. It's just like being a part of that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it felt like that on steroids.
That's
It
so
was
cool.
like, oh my gosh, like I was very honored.
Oh,
to say the least.
we loved
So-
having you. It was so much fun. That was one of our highlights of 2020, I think. I think we needed that kind of highlight of like, hey, we had a wedding. That's pretty cool. Like, so that was fun. And then after that, I'm trying to think what else. It's all like a blur now in 2020, right? It's like before 2020, after 2020.
I know, like pre-COVID, still in COVID.
Yes. But yeah, we're online completely too. So that's the cool thing. If you live out of town and everyone always says they miss the Pure Joy family, now you can live stream into our classes.
I'm like, I taught like a really vulnerable class. I think you were in it.
Yes.
Like the other week.
Yes.
And I was just like, whatever, you know, I'm used to having like the iPad in there recording. Like, I mean, I'm just kind of used to being recorded now.
Yeah.
And I was like kind of sharing some deeper
Yeah,
stuff.
totally.
And I go to turn off the NamaStream, so we use NamaStream for all of our streaming.
Check it out.
And I looked, and there were like 5 people online, and they all like wrote sweet messages.
Oh,
it was
that's
really
so
cute.
cool. That's so cool. Such a connection, even when it's like you seem like you're miles away.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we have this whole virtual studio going on. That was cool. That was kind of the kick in the pants I guess we needed.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Ingenuity is born out of necessity or something.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, we went through that. And then we had to do like some filming for reopening, right?
Mhm,
So,
yeah,
like,
because everything changed mostly. You know, we had to do whole new waivers. We had to do. You can't sit where you usually sit. You gotta have 6 feet. You know, which is I think how many Arjunas was that? I think we did a quiz. I think it was.
Was it like 5?
Yeah, so
5
we
Arjunas?
measured it in Arjunas as well.
But was
so
his tail like out behind him or up or?
I think we did his actual body.
not tail.
No, we must have done the tail because he's tiny. I don't know. I don't remember. But
He's a
quiz
pretty
of
big
the
cat.
tip is if you come into the studio, that's a trivia. Is that Arjuna was also used to measure the space between the mats. So and he's doing well, by the way. So
Yeah. That was probably the hardest piece to all of it. Was just like, I mean, we had staff scheduled to come and check on Arjuna, and everybody's like freaking out about Arjuna because he was by himself. He's used to having like several people in and
all
out
that
of
lovin's.
his kingdom.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Well, oh yeah. So where are we right now? What room are we in? Do we have a green wall?
It's pretty. Is this new?
Is that a palm leaf back there?
Who made that?
Oh, yeah. So
Huh.
we renovated.
We did. We did a lot of cool things during 2020, you know? Like,
Yeah. So we're currently sitting in the tarot room. And the tarot room is jungle themed. It's pretty cool, I think.
yeah,
Um,
pretty awesome.
and
You guys have to see the whole thing soon.
Tiny Hiller, aka Isabel,
Mm-hmm.
and Morgan both do their tarot card readings in here. And
Yeah,
it's great.
book one. Yeah. Check it out. See it in person, face to face.
If you feel comfortable with that,
Yeah.
right? Like that's the
Yeah.
other thing. Like
Mhm.
everybody, you know, there's a huge spectrum of being comfortable with things, you know,
Yeah.
that we've seen. Oh, so going back to like when we reopened,
Yes.
like everybody was kind of forced to sit with themselves,
Mm-hmm.
if not for 2 weeks, for 2 months, or for some people almost a whole year.
Mm-hmm.
And outside looking in, I would say that this is like a mass trauma event.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not like a psychologist or anything,
No,
but it
totally.
seems to me like, you know, I was reading studies at the beginning of it on children who were forced into quarantine, and I think it was like a 10-day quarantine or something. It wasn't a month. It was under a month how long these kids were quarantined, and the study was saying that they were like 4 times more likely. I would have to look it up, but it was something like they were way more likely to develop anxiety.
Makes sense.
So just knowing that and what I know about yoga, the nervous system, all of that, I think that's what we should really dive into today.
Yeah.
Is immunity, staying healthy, mental health a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and just like the side effects of the year that we had, and like ways to help people
cope with
form
it.
some coping for sure, and maybe forming some sort of resilience.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And like you mentioned, imagine your day-to-day life just changing, and that's what happened, right? I mean, March 17th was, I think, the day that we closed officially for 2 months at the studio, and our day-to-day life like that. So yeah, everyone's dealing with that right now. You know, everything you knew, everything you did each day.
flipped on its head.
Yeah, what do we do now? So yeah, I agree, mass trauma event for sure, and I think we're gonna be seeing a lot of the effects for a
I mean,
long time.
That was probably my biggest, like I kept pretty quiet. I didn't use my outlets to, you know, the outlets that I have, I've really, I try to create mission statements for things that I do in my life, and when it comes to social media, when it comes to the podcast, like I really don't want to breed more division. I don't want to I want to be that place that's like from my higher self, my integrity, not just from my reactionary state.
Yeah.
And I also don't want people to feel uncomfortable in my presence if we don't see eye to
Definitely.
eye. You know, because I feel like I have this very unique position in my life where I get exposed to so many different people, and so many people with different experiences and lifetimes behind them that help them form beliefs and ways that they want to live their life. And I want to respect that,
Mm-hmm.
because if I just run around sharing all of my beliefs, then people aren't going to feel safe coming to me
Yeah.
with their own. And I'm not going to, like, I'm still human. I have beliefs. So I took, like, my social media stance last year was really to hopefully encourage people to still be compassionate to their neighbors.
Yeah, totally. And I wouldn't want to hang out with 5 Lonnies. Like, I don't know. If you think about it, it's kind of cool to think about people agree with us. But imagine if we had all these cookie cutters walking around. I'm like, I'll probably fight with myself a lot if that was the case.
Yeah, I think, you know, my mom, I mean, when we first got back to classes, you know, to say the word namaste at the end of class, which I know there was some rhetoric last year about, like, why we shouldn't be saying it. Everything got shamed
Yeah.
and, like, torn apart last year.
Mm-hmm.
I still say namaste because, you know, it holds value to me. And if I'm to lead people in that and say that at the end of a class, the divine light in me honors and recognizes the divine light in you and everyone.
You gotta live it.
Yeah, and you can't shame people.
You gotta do your
can't
best
shame.
to live it. Yeah, no, I agree. I think 2020 was a lot of shaming at the same time. It's like, man, how can we, I don't know, live out that compassion?
Yeah.
Even when they may seem the opposite side of us, it's like, no.
And especially
you.
when it actually triggers you.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something,
yeah.
you know, for us, like, we're over here thinking, like, why is nobody talking about things that boost your immune system? Why is nobody talking about
Yes.
healthy things?
It's been
Like,
a big
we're being triggered by that.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, but did we still choose to react? Did we choose to respond?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
No, I agree.
And I think that's what yoga teaches us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the human condition, there's always going to be two sides to an issue. And whether or not you align with one side or the other, like, you still have to be a good person.
Yeah, we still wake up breathing every single day, you know, like.
And what leads to less suffering?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I think too, with this traumatic event, people at home, everything just got really condensed.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like, you know, I don't know. It's just, it's gonna be a doozy to come out of.
It is, and it's gonna take, I think, definitely some time and definitely a lot of options for people, you know, wellness options, you know, yoga, therapy, so much. And luckily we live in a time where a lot of those things are available. But that's why we're here too, you know, we want to talk about that wellness. How can we bring wellness to our community? How can we be that place that they can go, hey, Pure Joy Yoga, not only is it yoga, it's also a place that, we've had it a lot this year, you know, people just walking in, just hanging out, just want to be like, whoa.
Obviously social distance
Yes.
and in a mask.
Yes.
But, you know, that sense of community that's so
So
ingrained
needed.
in our psyche as
Mhm.
human beings. Like, we need interaction with others.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel really fortunate. I probably have more interaction with others than other people may have last year.
Yeah.
But I think it's very necessary for me. I'm extroverted. Like, I need to be in the company of others.
Mm-hmm.
It fuels me.
Yeah, totally. Having that place that they could just, even when they came in to buy your crystal, we're selling crystals, by the way, now too. I don't know if we talked about that.
Crystals.
But even people just walking in to buy your crystals, like, wow. Like, as soon as they walk in, like, I just feel, like, so good just to walk in and shop. And
I think that's what we hear the most, and what we heard the most last year is when people came back to their mats, like, after, you know, 2 months, whether it's 6 months, whatever, as soon as they stepped in, they were like, this is the most normal I've felt. Yeah, it's an amazing practice. It's an amazing community. We're so thankful to be a part of it. Yeah, I think the trauma, like, what I'm noticing is there's, like, some adrenal stuff going on.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Well, imagine this, like, we're talking about the nervous system. So you have your parasympathetic and your sympathetic, which is like one of the first things I think you learn in any kind of yoga teacher training. I know, and then we go deeper into it as you study it.
I don't think a lot of yoga teacher trainings teach
Oh,
about the nervous system.
Mom dropped.
I mean,
Wow.
hopefully they do.
Hopefully.
I mean, like,
Yeah, I mean, that would be
in
the
my
goal.
experience, the training that I teach and the one with my teacher Karen Miskell-Bannon, those are the only times I've heard really the nervous system. So
I'm a spoiled yogi then, because I'm like, my teacher training was with Jessie, so like nervous system, geeking out, and I love that kind of stuff anyway. But when you go into the nervous system, you have your parasympathetic, which is like your rest and digestion, sleeping, you know, you're happy, you're just like calm, your belly's like bloop, bloop, bloop. My belly makes
digesting
little noises.
food? Yeah,
It's like,
what's
I'm
that?
happy, you know, I ate my turkey, I'm happy. But then you have your sympathetic, which is still beneficial, but it's that flight or fight response of, hey, a lion is chasing me, but a lot of times the lion is nowhere to be seen. And what happened in 2020?
She's talking about a virus that's been lurking at your doorstep for a year.
Dun, 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 dun. And that's what's been happening in a lot of people's bodies this year. And I find myself going to that place sometimes too, of like tensing up over something. I'm like, wait, step back. Am I having anxiety about something that's actually happening to me? Or is this something that maybe I'm reading too much social media, maybe there's something else coming up? But the nervous system, I think a lot of people have been living in that sympathetic nervous system. We're consumed by social media, we're consumed by bad news, and it's scary, you know?
Yeah, like,
It's
fear is happening. Like, it's been happening. Like, I had somebody come in and he was like, yeah, I had COVID and I was watching the news and they were showing like all these body bags and stuff, and I thought, oh my gosh, I better turn off the news because like I don't want to end up like that. And really, like, your fear impacts your nervous system.
It does. And then if we want to go into it, it impacts your immune system.
Well, like my simplest version of this is if you're in the sympathetic nervous system, fight, flight, freeze, or collapse, then you're stealing energy from your immune system.
Yes.
So a lot of your systems shut off when you're in that because
that
like
tense.
yeah, like you said, like say we're too tired, chasing after you, like it shuts off. We've actually done several podcasts on this matter, so please go back and listen to them. But the energy that would normally be supplied to your immune system is then being funneled into this other area. So like fear could actually get you sick.
The cortisol, it automatically creates cortisol in the body, which is a nasty little substance that you don't want too much of, because it actually ends up depleting the immune system, depleting the sleep cycle. I don't know about you guys, but I'm one of those people. I think about everything at night if I don't shut it off. And I'm like, I need to do this, this, and this the next day. I need to make sure I do that. I'm like, wait, I'm in bed.
Just go to bed.
No, I don't need to be thinking about that. But that kind of stuff is what ends up depleting the immune system as well.
Yeah, it's. So for me, I felt the same way as you. Like, I need to like take a step back. I need to like what's real, what's in front of me. Like, what can I actually control? You know, like I'm not the type that typically lives in fear, anyways. Like, I feel like the practice of yoga has really increased my self-esteem. I think that, you know, owning a business for so long. I mean, I had a business before this, right? So like I've had to rise to challenges a lot. But there was plenty of fear last year, especially surrounding the business.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like
it's scary. Yeah, you don't know what's
scary.
gonna happen.
I mean, I feel for all of my entrepreneurs out there, small businesses, especially the restaurants.
Yes.
And also our frontline workers, like especially like the nurses.
Yes.
Like we have several nurses in our community, and bless them for being there and doing all of this, because I mean, we've seen the toll that it takes as well on them.
Yeah, how much loss they've had to experience, you know. It's the daily day of seeing it. You know, we're pretty blessed that we're not having to see.
Exposed to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's scary. And so that sympathetic nervous system and the immune system, it's been a year for people. You know, I think more than ever it's important to talk about preventative medicine.
Yes, which is, you know, we are Pure Joy Yoga and Wellness, and we have been for 3 years, and I think it is important to, you know, like, I'm sorry, but at the beginning of this, like, when they're like, stay in your homes, don't go outside, continue to clean your surfaces every 10 minutes, like, spray everything down with harsh chemicals, which, yes, it all serves a place, you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna use bleach at some point if something happens. And we keep Pure Joy super clean all the time.
Disinfect,
all of those things. But, like I've been saying since the get some vitamin D, you guys. Like, that was my favorite thing over summer, like spring, summer, and then the late fall that we had of good weather. Just going out in the morning to get like fresh sunlight, like no sunglasses on,
no blue light.
Yeah, that early morning sun was just so good for me. I think vitamin D.
Yeah, totally. And honestly, the vitamin D supplementing right now during winter is pivotal. You know, I have a lot of my clients on vitamin D.
Lonnie has me on vitamin D.
Yes. So there is some regimens that people can do, and I'm not one to make blanket statements. I think blanket statements when people get in trouble, right? Everyone should do this.
You're just another blog post at that point.
Yeah, I'm shared on Facebook. Everyone do this. But you know, most of my clients, they're going to be on vitamin D because first of all, we don't have any sunlight as often, and then secondly, there has been some great research on vitamin D helping the immune system and actually helping prevent some diseases happening in the body, especially in 2020. There's been some studies on those, and so we can link those
a leading
as well.
Cause of death for certain illnesses has been linked to being deficient in vitamin D.
Yeah, and we can link those studies, I think, in the about possibly, or we can email them to you. We'll find a way.
We post it up on the website. We just add a link.
Yeah, so it's perfect. So we can like link that study that shows.
And maybe I'll link that study with like the whatever the rate is for the kids. I'm sorry, it was so long ago. It feels like a lifetime ago.
It does. It was like, I think someone said like 2020 was the year that was the longest of our lives and also the quickest of our lives. And then in the terms of yoga, it's that chair pose that never ends. You're just
never ending.
Bringing in the navel, and you're just like, oh, trying to find my breath. I'm gonna be done soon. The teacher's like, 5 more breaths, and you're like,
the never-ending chair of 2020.
Just like,
oh, gosh.
I feel it. But yeah, the vitamin D supplementation. There's some studies on some zinc, some vitamin C. And also some really cool Chinese medicine remedies that is also immune chi. What?
Dropping that right there. Immune chi for the win.
But there is a lot of stuff being done when it comes to preventive medicine. You just have to know where to find it.
Well, I think... Okay, so I'm a huge proponent of touch.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's so beneficial to human beings. Like, we need to be touched.
Mm-hmm.
And... like to think of people not hugging this whole time makes me really sad.
It's been so tough.
I know. When I was on Maui, I saw one of my friends from Maui, and he lives on Maui, obviously, but he was like completely like pale.
Oh.
And I was just like, dude, are you getting out? And he's like, no, I'm staying in my house. Like, I have to stay in my house. Like I think he was in the sympathetic. He was in the fear response. But I just was like, can I give you a hug?
Somebody now is like so unheard of. Hug?
Dude, I've been hugging since May. Don't tell anybody.
It's like that awkward like, transition of like. I feel like there's a movie that. Has
no,
that
I gave him a
scene.
big old long hug, and I was like, hopefully this is going to be beneficial. But I mean, there's even research into massage therapy as being beneficial for the nervous, or not just the nervous system, but the immune system too.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And there's so much we can go into. I mean, the lymphatic system in yoga. You know,
lymphatic system in massage therapy.
Yeah,
as well. Like,
all that. You know, cupping. We do cupping on lymphatic system, and it helps promote that healthy drainage. And if you have a healthy lymphatic system, you have a healthy immune system. So moving your body, eating well. I know for me, from like probably March till about May, I eat a little bit too much Ben and Jerry's, which I'm not one to like shame myself in eating at all. I love eating. I'll eat anything I want. But I got to the point, I'm like, this is probably a little bit too much sugar when I'm not doing
what's your favorite flavor?
Ooh, milk and cookies.
Oh, I've never had it. I don't actually like ice cream.
Oh.
But like every yoga basics class, I get them into Cobra and I ask them like, what's your favorite ice cream flavor? Because I want to make sure that they can breathe in their back bends.
My Ben and Jerry's. But I got to that point in May that I was like, yeah, I eat whatever I want. I still do. I believe in eating whatever you want. But there comes a point I'm like, there is research on sugar depleting the immune system.
Oh yeah, like
I ate too much.
I know I had posted that on social media. Like there was a study that said like if you have sugar, it makes you more susceptible to illnesses because it depletes your immune system for like up to 4 hours.
Totally.
We're just gonna have to have a whole list of different links underneath this.
Like, here's this link. But that's the thing. The cool thing when you learn about Chinese medicine and yoga and massage therapy, there's scientific studies on this. So it's not like us just coming up here, I love Chinese medicine because it's cool and it's pretty, and I love massaging people because it feels so good on my hands. No, there's scientific stuff behind this. You know, there's evidence of people who went before us, and we're so lucky to have those people who would put this into studies. Because we're not just some woo-woo place to coming out. It's like, no, this is awesome stuff. There's studies on it, and it's healing people.
There's actually on our website, on the resources page for coming back to your mat, it's there's a study on there from, I don't know what the journal's called, but they did studies on yoga as a preventative and as a, what's the word? Not cure, but something like that, for the current virus.
Yeah, no, I believe it. There's all of these studies out on that kind of stuff, right? Like,
yeah, Lonnie literally sends me at least one a week. Like Thailand has their yeah,
just approved like an herb being used by the FDA, by the way, in Thailand, and they're starting to use this stuff, and it's cool because it's able to see, hey, this is science, and hopefully we can start that way.
And I think that's, I feel like the conversation I mean, maybe it goes down to like our culture of like quick fix, instant gratification, like take a pill better, get jabbed better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But preventative, like everything that we've done at this facility is preventative, right? Like yoga helps boost the immune system. Yogis typically get sick less. You know, like
yeah, there's so much.
I mean, was I sick at all this year? I was sick when I got back from Maui.
That was like
last year.
That was like 2020 January though, huh?
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
And that's the
5 years ago. 5 years ago in 2019. I did this, and this.
Back when I was young. I feel like it aged me. It totally aged me.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, that was like the email that I sent out to members. I was like, okay, guys, training wheels are off. Everything that we've been doing up until this point is like prepped us for this. Like, stick with it. Like, keep going. You know, like, not just the physical aspects, not just like the immune boosting powers of yoga.
Yeah.
But the mental capacity for it.
That's a huge one.
So I suffered from huge anxiety in my teenage years and early 20s, and also a little bit of depression, like depressive, like whatever. Like, I don't know if it was full-blown depression or just like symptoms like it. But I think also being that age really brings out the fun in life, right?
At all times.
I did also like move to Los Angeles when I was 17 years old, away from like everything I knew, and then, you know, mind you, I have my sister though, which is awesome.
No.
But for me, like there were moments through the last year where I kind of defaulted back to that, and mind you, there were probably 2 times that were like extreme to where I like had to use my Ujjayi breath and like calm myself down and then go practice, and like I was like in my body just clenched and breathing shallowly, and like thank God I had the coping skills and the background of the practice to help me. But on the flip side of that, I had this moment of beautiful reflection where I was like, wow, I used to walk around almost every day like this, in this anxious
Isn't
state.
that crazy to think about?
And I was just like, okay, like that actually pulled me out of it quicker than anything else, because it was like,
don't go back to that. Yeah, I don't want to go back to that.
no.
Even that clenching the jaw, and I have a bad tendency, I clench that jaw, you know, like. And I see myself doing it in practice sometimes.
There were plenty of jaw clenching moments.
Yes. The jaw clencher of 2020, and I see myself even doing that in practice sometimes. I came out a lot in 2020. I would be like doing something, I'm like, oh, I'm clenching the jaw again. Like, soften, use your breath, find your ease.
But to even have that awareness, like that's one of the gifts that yoga has given me, is to have the awareness on that. And
notice that in your body. Like, I clench my jaw when I'm stressed. I know it. I cue it now, and in a class, I'm like, hey, check your jaw. Is it clenched? Because I have that tendency. If I'm in chair pose of 2020, you know, like yoga pose 2020, I'm just like, I'm like, soften.
Yeah, it's. What else is there?
What else do we want to call out on this one? Let's think. I know, Jesse, one of my biggest frustrations of 2020 is I've been censored a few times. I'll just come out and say it. Like on my business page on Luna Lay Wellness, just because I will say something about the immune system. And I'm always good about claiming. Like, I've been involved in Western supplements for over 5 years now. So I know we have laws, and it's great that we do, because unfortunately anyone can come out and say, hey, I'm an herbalist, come see me.
Oh gosh, like somebody like dropped off a flyer here that time and was like, I'm making herbal elixirs, and I'm like,
You're like,
what kind of training do you have? Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing in yoga.
Yeah,
like,
anyone can come out and say, hey, I can teach yoga.
Like when I go to the Caribbean and do that retreat, like there's actually people teaching on that island that just read a book and now they're yoga teachers. Like, I just want to be a yoga teacher.
Yeah.
So
the regulation, I get why we have regulations on supplements and stuff. We need it. And I completely support 100% Western medicine. We would be really worse off without them. But at the same time, when I post things come up that's like, hey, a little thing over my photo is click on this link to go to this and follow about, you know, the pandemic or something like that. So that's been my biggest frustration.
At least you didn't get deplatformed, you know? Like,
right? Exactly.
yeah, that censorship thing, I think that's going to be a huge issue this year. I didn't get deplatformed. I definitely got a little bit censored. I remember how I was telling you, like, how do I work around this?
How can we work around this? What can we not say? What can
all
we
you
say?
have to do is, like, block out certain letters from whatever you're posting.
My teacher
if it's,
ended
like,
up
on a
doing
story.
that. Yeah, and so that's the thing is, like...
But it's like, why? Why can't we share this information, especially in your field? Because it's working in other countries. People are using it, and yet we have to censor it.
Yeah, I have to work around it, you know, and I'm not going out there saying, hey, do this, this, and this, and you'll be fine.
No,
you're gonna grow all the hair you want if you're losing hair. I'm not doing all these claims and stuff, but it's just basic preventive medicine stuff, you know, like how can we take care of our immune system, which kind of all the stuff we've been talking about and finding that research. And I hopefully, as we move into 2021, I think people have a new appreciation for alternative wellness.
I certainly hope so.
Because, you know, it's not as easy to go into Western medicine now because, you know, a lot of things are not considered essential, or it's like, hey, if you have a head cold, is it worth actually going to go and get a prescription for at this point?
Yeah.
So you just have to be cautious.
So I have, like, a decent amount of friends in the medical field, and, you know, we were picking their brains before any of the lockdown or anything, but throughout time, I just, like, check in. I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? And I think one of them said it the most beautifully. They said, we don't have a virus issue. We have a health issue, right? And, like, the fact that if you're, I'm not going to say, because there's so many things saying that healthy people got really sick. So, but like, a lot of people that have gotten sick have also been very unhealthy. And I'm hopeful that it's, like, eye-opening. I had somebody come in the other day that was like, you know, I wish that gyms and trainers would be able to show you that it's going to actually work before you invest all that money to do it. And I was like, I mean, I'm all about accountability, so I put it back on that person and I said, look, you're the one that has to you have to dedicate yourself to whatever it is. You have to show up. They can't get inside your body and do it for you. Like, you have to take back the narrative of your health. Lonnie said that to me. Where did you put that on? I don't know. And I was like,
something.
I was like, yeah, heck yeah. Like, take it back and make it the best it can be this year in 2021. Like, nobody's going to do it for you.
No, and people have been writing that narrative this whole year, right? Like, what should our health look like? What should it be? And yeah, there is basic stuff we should be following, you know, like, yeah, be healthy, you know, eat well, you know, take your vitamin C, do all that basic stuff that we know, but it's also like choosing into the narrative that a lot of people are putting out right now of not doing any exercising, sometimes not talking about that alone, not getting out and walking your dog, that alone boosts your immune system. It's those little things, you know, and that's been my biggest frustration in 2020 is trying to find my way into this world of like, hey, I have a voice and I'm free to do so, and how can I tell people what I know and seen. And I'm still learning, you know, that's an awesome thing about health and wellness. I think we're always still learning, and I love Western medicine. I love all of our doctors and nurses. Like, some of my closest friends are nurses who ideally one day we'll work together, you know.
That'd be rad.
That would be cool. Back in the early, I think, 1800s, 1900s, you might have to fact check this on me, so I'll put a link down.
Fact check calls.
And, you know, herbalists worked alongside of doctors. It's called allopathic medicine. And how cool would it be if we got to that point again?
That's rad.
You know?
I mean, like I said, like, I
Scope
drank
of
3 cups of broth, which replaced maybe
it's
one of my
scope of
cups
practice,
of coffee.
You know, I know my herbs, they know their prescriptions. Both are so needed for different situations. Let's work hand in hand and say, hey, this is their scope of practice, this is mine, let's refer to each other. You know, that'd be so cool one day.
Fingers crossed, because yes. Yeah, interesting times.
It is.
So, talking about, like, censorship and deplatforming now, I'm not going to dive too deep in this because I'm going to do a solo Jesse and Kelly show podcast. But I deplatformed myself. I mean, I'm not really calling it that. I just got off of social media again.
She's gone. She's like, peace out, I'm done. That's such an accomplishment now, though. I mean, think about it, how big of an accomplishment to, like, not be on social media. Like, I'm working on it.
I feel like I should be doing a daily journal on it because it's rather interesting insight for myself. And it was kind of like my New Year's goal or whatever. Like I turned it all off. Like the Jessie Lee Yoga page is now just kind of a dead page. I'm not posting on it. I'm not going on it. I'm not scrolling. I'm not on Instagram. I mean, I did it, and again, I'll do it. I'll put it on the Jessie and Kelly Show podcast. But pretty much like the data privacy. Like I'm a huge advocate for us keeping our own autonomy and sovereignty, and I feel like huge companies are making a lot of money off of our information and having access to us. And also, I don't feel like as a culture we should have as much access to one another anyways.
No.
But personally, like when I got off of Facebook and in 4 years ago, what would that be, 2017?
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm like
like you think about it, like you think you're gonna like shoot yourself in the foot, like you get some FOMO and you feel like you're gonna be missing out.
What are they showing?
Like honestly with Facebook that was like a given. Like I was like logging on and I'd read something and like my mood would change, and I kind of had that insight into like I can't do that to myself. You know, if I'm in a good mood and then I go on, choose to go on to something and my mood changes, like I did that to myself. It's not whoever wrote whatever, it's me choosing.
Yeah, it's completely,
you know. And it wasn't so much that with Instagram. I feel like it was a little bit nicer of a platform. And I actually really enjoy seeing differing points of opinion. Like I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I
like,
think it's good.
I feel like if there's any issue, I want to see both points before I can formulate any type of thoughts around it. You know, so it wasn't so much that, it was just really like how much access Facebook as a company has to my phone through Facebook app, Instagram app, and now through WhatsApp. Do you know anything about WhatsApp?
I don't.
So everybody uses it, like in other countries, people just use it.
It's like a private messaging thing, isn't it?
It's a private messaging, yeah. Like so, it's like Messenger. Like I guess people use Facebook Messenger. Is that an app too?
It is. It's a whole separate app. You need to have that if you want to message people on Facebook.
Okay. See, I think I got out of Facebook before they did their Messenger.
Yeah, I think so.
So WhatsApp was supposed to be end-to-end encryption, so that you could send stuff encrypted, which means that nobody could read it. Facebook as a company bought it out, but they're not a monopoly. And they just released that all of the data that they collect goes back to Facebook, which means that it's not encrypted because they're getting all of your information that you willingly put through that system. So for me, if I'm going to be a privacy advocate and, you know, believe in the Fourth Amendment, like my integrity is on the line if I decide to keep this stuff on my phone. So if anybody's wondering why I got off, it wasn't because somebody made me mad. Maybe somebody did make me mad, but that's pretty much the company.
You took back the narrative of your health.
I took back the narrative of my phone.
That too.
Yeah, and I think for me, I'm slowly trying to like kind of push away from this virtual lifestyle. I mean, whereas, you know, it's probably counterintuitive, but there's like a really big push for everyone to live more of a virtual lifestyle now, which I don't see going away. And I'm slowly backing away. And I had this kind of like epiphany, like the 70s, where everyone kind of like got back to nature and like, you know, not that I was around during the 70s, but from what I gather, there was kind of like this, it's going in one direction, and then everybody kind of retreated back. So I'm really hopeful to see if that's like what we decide to do, go back to more natural wellness and prevention.
And that thing too, the blue light alone, there's studies on that, what it does to the body. And it's funny because there's like an Ayurvedic practice, which we've been talking about a lot on my Instagram personally, called Dinacharya, which is like daily rituals in your day that help shape your immune system. And one of those weekly is actually eye washing. And so we're going to be doing a post on that soon, where people actually, you wash your eye with like a little eye cup. You've probably seen them, and like, it's like a glass eye cup. You put like a floral water in it, and you go like, you blink, and it's like crazy. At first you're like, oh my gosh, my eye is drowning. But it actually is known to help the damage that happens with blue light in the eyes. And I think more than ever, we need to be eye washing even because of that reason. We'll constantly, myself included, my phone's right next to me all day, like all day. And so that blue light alone is damaging to the body. And I think you're right. Can we get back to nature and losing that need? If you're on a really good hike, you see that sunset, go on Instagram.
That's one of the like big things. So
like I'm guilty of it.
I have the cutest puppy ever.
Yes,
like,
Blondie.
and I feel like
you got a puppy in 2020.
I got a Corona pup.
Corona pup. Good old Blondie.
Good old Blondie. She's so cute, and I feel like the world deserves to see her.
They do.
Is this just like sometimes I look at her and I'm like, you're so cute, and then I'm like, is it just because I'm her mom?
She is super cute though. I am obsessed with going to go see Blondie.
Oh my god.
I'm just like, I'm gonna take you home, don't tell your mom.
So she does such dumb stuff, and I'm like, before I got off of Instagram, I really wanted to start an Instagram for Blondie and then our cat Wendy. Like
yes, they're so cute.
They are so
the cutest
ridiculous.
Little siblings who team up on their mom and dad. And then
so Wendy is, what is she, a calico or tortoiseshell or
something like that, like she's flames. It looks like she has like flame prints.
She's like black and orange, like splotchy. So anyway, she's kind of a maniac. My husband found her on the railroad in Texas and then dropped her at a shelter, and then went back and adopted her and brought her home from Texas. No,
I'm coming home with you.
So her name is Wendy Weatherford because she's from Weatherford, Texas. And she's just funny in and of herself. And then we get Blondie, and the two are best friends. I actually think that they're lovers.
They're so cute.
So I gave Blondie Wendy's last name, so it's Blondie Weatherford and Wendy Weatherford. And they cuddle, they kiss, they play fight, they just do too much. Like I sent you a video the other day of them hopping up onto the bar stool. Thing.
Like even if you just make a blog, there used to be those old school photo galleries. I don't remember the names, where you would upload your photos to adjust your photos, and like that's gonna be Blondie and Wendy.
Well, I think that there's like other options. Like I don't know.
We'll find a way.
Want to actually share photos with people, like. I've started texting some people some photos.
Yeah, I love it.
That
she
works.
sends me photos of Wendy and Blondie. I'm like, oh.
But Wendy, Blondie, the little pup, she's obviously blonde, which I learned from the vet is called fawn.
Aw,
did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Like the pug coloring.
That's so cute.
One of my friends who's a student here brought me flowers, and I took all these flowers home, and she was just like up in there like smelling like, oh, I've never smelled this flower, but what does this one smell like?
So
and you're like,
cute.
What are you doing? You're melting my heart.
She's so cute.
And then she really loved carnation.
Oh, so if you're getting Blondie gifts, she likes carnations.
Which carnations are actually toxic.
And
for
she
dogs.
also likes, then don't get her carnation, but get her crystals. She loves crystals too.
Oh,
right?
she's a crystal dog too. And she's just too much. She stole our friend Courtney. Yeah. She's a massage therapist here. She came over to open up her Mineral Maven water opal that she got. So this thing's like $100 opal that's,
you know. Expensive, but beautiful.
Beautiful. So beautiful. And we were like just joyfully talking, and Lonnie goes, look at Blondie. And Blondie had the bag full of water with the water opal,
and she's like making a break for it, and like we start
in her mouth.
She's just like like she's about to leave with this crystal. Like, no, this is mine.
She stole it off of the table.
She did. She got up, took it off, and then made a break for it. Like we were like, okay, like drained all the water out of it. I think too, almost. Like she was like living her best life.
Oh my gosh, just drinking opal water.
Living my best life.
She's too much. She makes every day so much funnier. And then her and the cat, and then Kimber, the big Great Dane, like she gets involved, and it's just utter chaos.
It's so cute though.
But it's kind of fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun.
I almost named her Jemmy.
Jemmy,
like Gemini.
She loves crystals too, like a Jemmy crystal.
But she's an Aries. What's up with those Aries, man?
Right? An Aries.
Those Aries.
Yeah, so she loves crystals, she loves flowers, so I think, she likes being spoiled too.
Yes.
Like all of us, so she's so cute.
She's adorable.
We just went on a whole rant on dogs and cats, so if you leave comments on the podcast, tell us. Ooh, comment a photo of one of your babies.
Yes.
Your fur babies.
Okay, so not only did I take off, because I had WhatsApp still, because I have some contacts in India that I communicate through there, but I was just like, I can't do it. And like, that's the thing, like, when I got off of Facebook, I actually like, you know, I've been planning this for a couple of months, but with Facebook, I was planning for a couple of months too, and I downloaded all of my photos, all of that, so I wouldn't lose anything. Like, let's talk about what we gain here, because you actually gain a lot.
Yeah.
But there's like that FOMO, like that FOMO is real.
Yes.
And then there's like this epitome, like you have this epiphany, sorry, not epitome, of like, whoa, like I've put too many eggs in that basket for a little too long.
And if you do something cool, you're like, well, I gotta share it because nobody will know. I'm like, why does it matter though? Like, you could tell them when you get back.
Like, what kind of like validation?
Yeah, and I'm so guilty of that.
Self-righteousness. You know, like these are the conversations I've been having with myself over the last year. Is like, I kind of had this coming to terms of how it feels like maybe there's a little bit of self-righteousness involved with yoga, like the plight of the self-righteous yogi, and I had to personally step back and go, where am I being self-righteous and where could I be more compassionate? And so that was a big talk with myself, and I hope that my social media platform while I was there reflected that.
Totally.
And now it's like, okay, well, what is the underlying reason why I want to post stuff? Like, that's the conversation that I now get to have with myself, because Blondie's super cute. I want to share that with the world. Why do I want to share that with the world?
Yeah, bring joy.
Honestly, some of the stuff that Blondie does, I don't think people would believe me if I just told them.
Yeah, you gotta have those proof.
Like the time that she wound up on the paddleboard in the middle of the pool.
Yeah, it's so cute.
Like, by herself.
Yeah, she's so cute.
She just gets on floaties by herself.
She's just like,
I don't know. She's pretty cool.
No, I think those are all good questions, you know, to ask yourself about social media. I know I've had to do it multiple times of like, I always go on these really cool hikes. I always want people to see them. I'm like, you guys have to see this. You guys have to see this. But I'm like, what am I gaining out of this of having to miss the sunset maybe? I'm so busy trying to get the lighting correctly in the photo that I end up missing the sunset. You know, I've done it at concerts too. I'm so guilty. I love concerts. I miss them so much.
Yeah, but like now you go to concerts, or when you used to get to go to concerts, and everyone's like, everybody's phone is in the way of you actually doing this
or like sometimes I have to film a song that I love, and I'm thinking, wait, I'm missing it. I'm watching Justin Timberlake through the lens of my phone. That's not cool. I can do that on YouTube. Like, get off of it, enjoy the concert. You know, so all good questions.
And I really want that. Like, I feel like IRL in real life. Like, that's my motto for 2021. Like, what's happening in real life right now?
Catch me on the real life.
Yeah. But
I agree, and that's all goes in hand.
That's why
too. You know,
my sister sent me that really great article. I know I read some of it too yesterday, but I do want to put it in our notes. Oh, I do have a MeWe account, which is MeWe.com. It's like it's a private, like they never take your data, they never share it, like they're like the anti-Facebook. So if you're interested, you can follow me there. I have, it's under Jessie Lee, and I have a page set up, like a group for yoga. I have a group for Pure Joy Community. I have a group for cooking.
Ooh, if you haven't had Jessie's food, you're gonna have to follow that group. So good, always feeding us.
I did post the link to it in this, but my sister sent me this article from Scientific American, and it's on studies, but it's The Science of Spiritual Narcissism. It's a must read.
It is.
I'm gonna do on the blog, I'm gonna write kind of like a little bit about it. And then I'm also going to write about, I decided I should probably do an open letter to Yoga Alliance regarding their email. Be a good person, be compassionate, like, even if somebody doesn't see eye to eye with you or has a different belief system, like, still be a good person to them.
Yes.
Like, that self-righteousness.
Trying to understand where they're coming from. I think that's the big thing. If we just try to understand people a little bit better, knowing what shapes people's viewpoints alone sometimes. You're like, oh, wow. Like, that makes sense. You know? Like, okay.
You know, and if you are a yoga studio owner or a yoga teacher and you're about to start teaching live classes again. Just a heads up, there's like a lot of projection that happens as the doors reopen and people come in. Like we talk a lot in our yoga teacher trainings about how people project onto the yoga teacher or, you know, onto the person at Starbucks, like all these things. Like it does show up in practice too. We had to hold a huge compassionate space and all encompassing. It didn't get to be like, oh, if you believe this, then you're welcome to come back to yoga. You know what I mean? Like if yoga is really truly going to be a safe place, it's a place for all, not who just agree with you. And that's why I've always been like, don't put politics in yoga.
No.
And that's also, you know, why, I don't know, it's just, people are on edge enough, we don't need to take them over the cliff. Like that's not our job.
Yeah.
And that's why I've definitely asked myself as a yoga teacher, as a yoga studio owner, and just as a person, why do I need to be right? Why does my way have to be the best way?
I know I'm guilty of it too. Some of those narcissistic habits, you know, you don't realize it sometimes.
Should we just read the list?
We should.
Oh
It's
god,
so good.
it's so bad.
Yesterday we were like, oh.
Oh man.
It's like, well, you know that 5-finger game on TikTok where you hold up, I don't know if you've seen it, but you hold up your hand and it's like,
Okay,
never
but it's 6,
have
I think. 6
But
things.
it's like, it's that one game where you go, never have I ever done this. If you done it, you put your finger down. And I was like, oh, when Jessica was reading it, I was like, some of this I've done and said.
Okay, so this is from a study by Roos Vonk and Anouk Visir. I don't know how to say it actually, but it's an exploration of spiritual superiority. So yoga studio owners, yoga teachers, like anybody in yoga, these questions are for you. So like they interviewed psychologists, spiritual trainers, and lay people. They asked them to describe people, or hold on. That's pretty much, do you identify with these statements?
Yeah.
So
If you're at
Is this
home, you can
yourself?
do your 6-finger game
Yeah.
if you've ever said this.
this is your self-reflection
Take a Vinci shot.
exercise of the day. I am aware of things that others are not aware of.
It's like, finger down. You said that.
I am more in touch with my senses than most others.
It's like,
Ooh,
Finger
yogis, take a hard look at yourself.
finger down.
I am more aware of what is between heaven and earth than most people. Because of my education and experience, I am observant and see things that others overlook. Because of my background and experiences, I am more in touch with my body than other people. This one. The world would be a better place if others too had the insights that I have now. That's like the yoga freaking motto right
Yeah,
there,
it
though. Like, the world would be a better place if they all did yoga.
And I've said it, you know?
I've said it
We've
too.
all
What
said
yogi
it.
hasn't said it? You know,
Yeah.
I think that I was very fortunate to have my first teacher training with Tyler Langdell out of Yoga Shalasak, because he would always put it back on his students. He would always I'd be like, Tyler, that was an awesome class. Thank you so much. And he would say, I'm glad you had a good experience in your body.
Oh,
Like,
that's awesome.
do you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, he would not let me project my experience onto him as a teacher. And so I feel like that was really a good
Totally.
introduction. But like, you know, you gotta sell yoga somehow.
You do.
There's a book called Selling Yoga. There's a link to a book in there too.
I do
that
see the
wanna look at.
point too. It's like yoga is so beneficial. We spent half this podcast talking about that too. But when does it come about the ego? You know, like I do yoga.
For sure,
so
and like
I
all of it,
know.
so that article
Mhm.
is talking about like, are you really calming the ego or are you boosting the ego through
Mhm.
yoga? So this is actually, it's written by Scott Barry Kaufman, The Science of Spiritual Narcissism, and subhead, self-enhancement through spiritual practices can fool some of us into thinking we're evolving and growing when all we're growing is our ego. Ouch. But you read it and like, you know, I identified with some of that stuff, and there's kind of like this link between how yoga increases your self-esteem, which I know it did for me,
Totally.
and how increasing your self-esteem also increases the ego.
Mhm.
So I mean, we talk a healthy amount in the 200 hour about ego and the different philosophies of transcending the ego. I mean, that was my thing, is like, if we're trying to preach to people to transcend the ego, why are we so gung-ho in our beliefs on social media? You know what I mean? Like, you're teaching people to quiet their ego and...
But wait, listen to me, I have something to put on my story, so everyone...
But no, if you agree with this, I will no longer be your friend. Like, it's all ego-based, man.
It is.
And I was, like, trying to call it out, like... But, you know, for me, I just kind of, like, lost a little bit of respect for my yoga peers that did that shamed people, that, like, were too hardcore in their beliefs that are driven from the ego, you know what I mean? Like, we have all of these philosophical texts that we read, you know, are we reading it to justify our own ego, or are we reading it to actually learn something and transcend? I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's so true. I think the textbook you use in the 200 too, they are amazing for that. Like the Hatha Yoga Pradipika or something. I think that's the Pradipika. Is that what it's called?
Hatha Yoga Pradipika.
Thank you. I'm not good at Sanskrit, you guys. It doesn't even Sanskrit.
I don't have to.
What is it called?
It means
but that book alone,
light on Hatha Yoga.
That book alone was such a huge part in shaping the outside asana, right? He doesn't just cover asana in this book. It's about the practices that follow you in life.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not about that fancy cool pose.
So, you know, in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, it says that a yogi must never reveal his practices because then they will become powerless.
That's so interesting. I remember
Instagram
yogis,
right? Like, as soon as you're revealing, like
I love that book so much because it goes into a little bit of Dinacharya as well, the neti pot and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it talks about preparing your body behind the scenes too. It's like, yeah, I can go get into a really cool pose on Instagram, but what am I doing behind that pose? Right? What am I doing? Does it match up?
The psychology of it.
Yeah, does it match up with what I'm putting out to social media? And even if I post herbalism stuff, is it matching up with what I'm taking myself? I can tell people to drink all the lemon water you want. Am I doing it? Like,
as we were just discussing a donut day,
right?
Which we're only allowed to do a donut day like once a year at this point because like it's just a crap show.
It's bad. Like if you want to come watch the show, it's a show.
It's funny.
We eat donuts and we're like ah, and then, like we had claps on the couch.
Like 20 minutes later, it's like clockwork. I was like, I don't think I can handle it, Lonnie.
Do we want to do a donut day? We don't know.
I know. Yeah, I think, you know, our integrity and our personal accountability is really what's going to set us free. I think it's the freedom, that liberation that all of the yoga is actually talking about. So again, that starts with self. It starts with self. Your health starts with yourself. Like nobody else is going to do it for you. And why not do preventative measures before you actually get sick?
Yeah.
Or so that you don't get sick.
Yeah, and we don't want, you know, this stuff to happen to people, you know. I think everyone can agree. I'm hoping everyone can agree they don't want people to get sick, right? I think that's everyone's goal. Please don't get sick. And
yeah, I thought the media was trying to make us sick.
I won't lie, I thought that too.
Like
like,
legitimately, when I start seeing articles that are like, comfort food keeps you healthy, I'm like,
oh yeah, you talked about that.
I don't know. I don't remember the actual headline, but it was pretty much trying to. It was bread. It was bread. Something that. No, I love bread too, and I actually. My stance on bread is like, if civilization after civilization has had some rendition of an actual type of food, I'm like, I'm not gonna freaking shame it, but to openly tell an obese population that bread is gonna help keep them healthy. I mean, I don't know what the statistics are for obesity in the US, but I know for our region, it's relatively high. It's like 32% or something.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that that's good information to go out to the general population.
No, even diet fads, you know, juicing. I'll do that, a whole nother podcast. I could go on for hours about juicing. But, you know, all this like blanket statements that comes out, and it's, let's just take care of ourselves, let's do preventive medicine, and then take it seriously, you know, always take things seriously as well. If you end up getting sick, you know, take those measures of, you know, making sure you're good, you know, testing, doing what you need to do, whatever. but taking those healthy measures to take care of yourself and take care of others too.
Okay, but final thought, people are saying like we're no longer blowing candles out on birthday cakes. Is that real?
I don't know. We tried to practice it with Jesse's birthday though. I think you had a mask on, you tried blowing out your candles.
No, that wasn't me. I think it was.
Who was it?
It was Monica.
Was it Monica? I thought you did one too.
No, Monica and Ashley both had them.
Oh, okay.
You got me a donut.
Oh
with
yeah,
the
speaking of
candle in it.
donuts, we had donuts on Jesse's birthday.
It was my favorite. Chocolate old fashioned.
I like blowing out candles. I don't know. I mean,
We'll see what happens. Come on, 2021. Give us a little break.
like,
So, I guess that was a good debrief. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so much more to unpack and so much more to share. Lonnie and I have been in talks about doing some wellness workshops
Yes.
at the center. We're gonna do some cooking demos, get people eating well,
mhm.
and taking back the narrative of your health. Again, nobody else is gonna do this for you.
You can read all the stuff you want, but doing the workout side of it.
Exactly. Yeah. What else is new?
Nothing I can think of. Let's see.
Oh,
We
I
got
guess
a dog. A really cute dog, Blondie. We talked about that.
we have a crystal bed.
Oh, the crystals. We haven't talked about the crystals at all, Beverly. So we sell crystals now, by the way. A lot of them.
You can follow the tarot crystals online if you'd like. I think they're on Instagram and Facebook.
What is the crystal bed, Jessie? What does it do? What does it look
It's
like?
a crystal soak.
The
You're
crystal
soak in some
soak.
crystals, yo.
Ooh.
Have you soaked yet?
I have actually. It was fun. I was very calm. My digestion felt really calm. I was just like, oh, I needed this, and my feet felt super grounded on it.
But you like the bear hug, huh?
I do. I like the bear. I love anything. Is it golden healer on that one, right?
Yeah.
So there's a really cool crystal called golden healer that we sell in the studio, and
From Brazil.
and it smells so good in my hands. Like it's just like I held it. I think I went to Jesse's house that day, and I held it. I was like, oh, okay, this is mine. Like I just picked it up, and I was like, this feels so good. So she has one of the crystal soaks. I think we should explain what it is, though. What is it?
Oh, okay.
Like, what do you do?
You lay on a bed of crystals. I said that to my sister, and she was like, "Is it pointy? Do they hurt?"
Someone
And
else
I'm
asked me that too. Like,
No, it's actually a bed that's structured to hold crystals underneath. You're on like a cushioned bed, but the crystals are like a couple inches below you. Our base package is the crystal reset. So like if you're super frantic, if things are like, it's a really good place to go. You're laying on top of, I believe, it's like 38 pounds of amethyst. And
so it's like over 40 pounds of crystals, right? Total.
And then like, I think there's like 3.5 or 4 pounds of clear quartz. So if you have an allergy to crystals, or if you have a really heightened sensitivity, maybe not for you, but pretty much for everyone else.
You can start really slow. I think one of the levels was like too much for me in the beginning, so I went back down a level. I was like, I think I need something a little bit more grounding. So
the crystal reset is great. 15 minutes for me. Like I usually do 10-minute sessions, but a 15-minute session is kind of the starting point. And I feel like it's the equivalent of an hour in a float tank, or like that feeling after Shavasana. And that crystal reset in 15 minutes, boom. I feel like people should work up to like the 30-minute sessions if they're gonna do it, and get used to being on the crystals first. It's kind of like, they call it crystal healing, but it's like vibrational therapies, right? Like on that prana level, like the subtle energies. And then the second package, this is the one that you're like, this is too much. We call it full spectrum. I kind of call it like a magic carpet ride. Like that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
It feels like you're up and out in the ethers, like just woof. But that one is smoky quartz, rose quartz, clear quartz, and amethyst.
I love smokies. I need to work more with smokies. I think that's why I was like, wow.
It's they're all part of the quartz family, and
totally.
that's a very like clear vibration. So I like that one. It's pretty intense, so I would probably say like work up to that.
Yeah.
Like do the crystal reset a couple of times, and then maybe try the full spectrum. Or if you just need to like get out of your head and like
It does it.
go on a staycation in the crystal room, there you go. And then the last one is the bear hug. That's the one Lonnie was talking about.
I love
It's
that
super
one.
sweet. It feels like super grounded. It feels like almost like you're being pulled into the bed, but with all the same great benefits
It's like
of
a hug,
the reset.
literally.
Yeah, it's and that one's amethyst, clear quartz, rose quartz, and golden healer, and it's just so nice. But yeah, the room's beautiful too. You can see pictures of it. We have it up on the website. You can book appointments there too.
Awesome.
And yeah, I'm happy to share crystals.
We've had
with
people come in, like, Jessie, can I lay on the crystal bed? It's had a crazy day.
Yeah, definitely, and it helps.
It does. We've had quite a few people who've had crazy jobs, as we were talking about during 2020, who really benefited. Just
And it's like you
taking
can't
that
spare
time.
an hour to do a yoga class. Do a 15-minute crystal reset. Boom. In and out, perspective change. Yeah, it's been really fun. Like we did some trials on it. Like most of our staff has been on the bed so far, so they know about it. But the trials, everyone kind of just came out kind of glowy and like feeling good, and like it was a really positive response. So I'm hopeful that
It's exciting.
more people are willing to try. I think on the side of things, like what am I trying to say? Like cautionary stuff. So, if you're like concerned about going to get a massage with somebody because of being in contact with them, the crystal reset and the crystal room is great because you're in there by yourself. And also, all of our rooms have those. Are they HEPA filters? What are they?
It's those I think they're,
The FAMs that have the HEPA filters and stuff in them. Like all of our treatment rooms have those as well. So we are taking care to sanitize everything in between people, doing all these really beautiful things to keep our community vibrant, healthy, and enjoying life. I think that's the key that's been missing. So if you want to come back and join us for some joy, we're still open. I think we're about done. We're over.
So.
We're at like an hour and 13 minutes.
We unloaded.
We had a lot to say. Well, we love you guys. Hope to see you soon. IRL.
Come see us in real life.